Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Tran, the losing streak is over. We've been talking about just win, baby. The Longhorns come up with a dub 27-16 over the Baylor Bears. A much needed victory in Austin. We're now 2
Yes.
and 2 in the Big 12, 3 and 2 on the season. And let's celebrate the dub today, man.
Yeah,
Welcome.
I appreciate it. It only took a team that's been infected with COVID for 3 weeks for us to beat. Winning in the Big 12 is hard.
Winning is hard. According to one Tom Herman. However, we are making this video as so we haven't watched any of the post game pressers. So I don't have like injury updates, and I haven't heard from Coach Herman. We watched the end of the Penn State Indiana game and Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and then jumped on here. So I haven't heard anything just with so much college football going on. The Big Ten is back today, obviously. We'll touch on some of that throughout here and how it correlates to Texas. But happy to get the dub. Guys,
Yep.
as you check in and watch this video, make sure you smash that like button. Show us some love, especially in a dub where we told y'all, hey, we felt good about this week. We want to get back on track, want to focus on winning, going 1-0. All the football talk, coach speak you want to add in there. Point is, we needed to win. Winning
Yes.
was paramount. You feel better as a fan base about winning. A lot of the distractions go away. So excited just to talk ball about a win. We're actually going to go back, Tran, and everybody watching today, to good, bad, ugly. That's the way I think we've decided we're going to break down this game. I just also wanted to make a quick announcement. So typically, if we played at home today, you and myself would have been in attendance.
hmm
Unfortunately, and I haven't announced this publicly, but I did test positive for COVID-19 last week, and the last I'd say 7 to 10 days have been pretty tough with some of the symptoms I've had, and so I am recovering. I feel a lot better than I did last week. So, Trent, thank you to you, Brandon, all my friends here locally who have been supportive through my wife and myself testing positive, and both of us showing symptoms. Still don't have smell or taste yet, so that's been interesting, and have lost a few pounds in the struggle, and fatigue is still an issue. But overall, I'm breathing,
Yeah.
blood pressure, heart, all that is good. So
That's what matters is that you guys are getting better.
absolutely.
You and Bree are
Absolutely.
getting
No, we
better.
are
So
we
that's all
are
that
we are
matters.
getting better. So if you guys have noticed if I've been any sluggish as we've been trying to gut out videos, I just love talking ball a lot. And so when I was having some bad days, getting on here to talk about Texas, even in the midst of all the chaos, helped me. That was the highlight of my day, was getting to be able to make the video. So happy to be making a video here in a dub. So Tran, let's start with game balls,
Okay.
because uh, there were some people we identified out of today, and I'd love to hear from folks in the comment section on, hey,
Who they
who
thought
who
were
are
the
some of the
players.
yeah
Yeah.
who are some of your players of the game? Where we're gonna give a shout out to four guys. I want to start Tran with Taequan Graham, and I said this on Twitter. I thought he was fantastic today. Um, I know stat sheet wise is not going to always
hmm
reflect, you know, everything a player does, especially in the trenches. But he was phenomenal at the point of attack. He was phenomenal in short yardage. He was phenomenal as a pass, excuse me, pushing the pocket, giving Charlie Brewer issues. Charlie Brewer, who was trying to make some things happen, scrambling around, make plays. And I felt like not only was he making plays for himself, but he helped make plays for others. So was
I
really,
agree.
really impressed with Taekwon
So,
Graham today.
so one thing that you and I both noticed too was he's the first person on the defense that was holding everyone accountable. He stepped up as a leader. So if you look at, I think it was their second touchdown drive, or was their first? It might have been their second touchdown drive. But they're at the goal line, and Jawan Mitchell was getting into little extracurriculars. He grabbed him by the jersey, got in his face, and he reamed him for that. He knew that could potentially hurt the team. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, they ended up getting a touchdown, but him stepping up and holding the team accountable, that said a lot about his character to me.
I'm happy to see an older guy on our team step up like that, and he's been stepping up over multiple weeks. That's the other thing. We actually in our pregame video we said, "Hey, we want to see him." Ajomo, and Alfred Collins have actually been pretty consistent
Yes.
with their interior pressure over the last few weeks, interior and exterior, because
Yeah.
Ajomo,
Jomo's
those
outside a little bit. Yeah.
outside with
Yeah.
rotating with Jacoby Jones, right? And so, but they've been consistent pushing the pocket and making things happen. And today was like a really, really good day for them. Guys, I understand Baylor's shorthanded with the linemen they were missing and the injuries that they sustained on top of the COVID stuff, all that. But part of football is taking advantage of your matchup.
Hmm.
And finally, right, like we actually really hurt somebody where they were suffering there. Now Baylor's, Larry Fedora and their staff tried to coach around it. I felt like, real short plays, real quick plays, quick hitters, all sorts of things to try to manipulate what they could. But at the end of the day, it's still, trench warfare, right? And guys like Taequan Graham were awesome today. So game ball to him. I want you to talk about Ojamo because we're going to give him a game ball too on the defensive
Yeah.
line. Defensive line was just awesome today.
Yeah. The defensive line probably all should get the game ball, but Moro Jomo, he just all over the place. Quarterback hurries, sacks. I think we were talking about that one where he kept containment. He didn't make the play, but he made the play for his team
Mm-hmm.
because he filtered the running back in back inside, and I think it was Overshown that made the cleanup. But I just saw 98 all over the place today, and it's a breath of fresh air because I think when we were going over our breakout players of
You
the
wanted to,
year,
yeah.
I wanted to mention him, and I think you wanted to mention him too, but there's so much talent on this team, and that's the point that's frustrating so far to this short portion of the season. But he was just a rock star today, and I want to see more because it's just going to get tougher from here on out, and we need
Mm-hmm.
our defensive line to be playing at this level, if not better.
Two other game balls we want to give on the offensive side. I'll let you touch on Sam Cosme and then I'll touch on the other player. But Sam Cosme is going to get a game ball from us
Mhm.
today.
Yeah, Sam Cosme. He there's a reason why he's almost a 90% on PFF Football Focus rating,
Mm-hmm.
and he did give up one sack, but I wouldn't even credit him with that sack because it was Sam holding it too long and then rolling out. It wasn't like he got juked by the defensive lineman, but he's just consistently been our strong point of our offensive line. And I mean, our offensive line, I think it was also a little bit of offensive philosophy, getting the ball out, running the ball a little bit more to take a little pressure off of the right side. But our left side is locked down because of him. I mean, he's just been just a stalwart for us and just a beast for us on that left side.
What I like too with his footwork today was whenever he had to go against a speed guy, he would do a good job of allowing that guy's momentum to overshoot the play.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, all right, that guy's out of the play, right?
Yeah,
So
he got
job well
himself
done.
out. Yeah.
Right. And he's really good at that because he's athletic.
Mm-hmm.
And he has the athleticism to really be able to widen out really good and play in space as a pass blocker. So that was just encouraging to see. And, we need him to continue to play at that level, again, for what it means recruiting wise, NFL draft, all that stuff, right? So we haven't talked too much about him this year because the offensive line has been struggling, but Sam Cosme individually, and it's hard to pick people out as individuals on the offensive line, but when you look at how he's graded on the season and the lack of pressure that he's allowed, I think it's justified. And he goes up against a lot of different types of players. Like the guy on Baylor that got sacked, that guy's more of a, 3-4 defensive end type technician type who made a great inside move. And I agree with you that Sam Ellinger did hold on to the ball and was, just struggling with his footwork and decision making there. But for the course of the game, I thought Sam Cosmi was really, really good. The last person we want to give a game ball to is Jarrett Wiley. And I know he didn't get a whole lot of action today, but it's the potential. Like, and I think everybody in this fan base sees it. Like, he's the best
Yes.
tight end on the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of the best. He's one of the better pro prospects we have. When you look at his size and physicality, I understand one of the targets was an interception. We will talk about what happened on that particular play later in this video. But good things happen when you throw the ball to him. Interception aside, he's that the you know, we've been asking to threaten the seams, and it's something we've been struggling with to really put pressure on some of these safeties out here. And not only is he able to maximize that and has the speed and athleticism to get downfield, but he's huge.
Yes, he's gigantic.
He's a gigantic person.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, he's also still learning the position, former quarterback. And he's one of our better blockers. He's got the physicality there. He plays a lot in the 12 personnel. Now we're starting to flex him out a little bit. We flexed him out, later in the game. There's a lot, like 2 catches today for 70 yards. He has a 47-yard catch. It's just like, I want to see more. But when we do get the ball to him, big plays.
Yeah, definitely good things happen when we get him targeted. 3 targets isn't enough. I'd like that. I'm not saying, hey, he should be targeted 15 times a game. No, I'm saying, it should be 5 to 6 times a game, because if you're looking at, I bet you if you look at his per reception average, it's pretty high up there. He's so large that he's going to either catch it or he's going to draw a penalty. And now that you could actually keep him in as an every down tight end, because he has gotten that weight on for him for actually blocking. He should be playing a lot more, and he should be involved in the offense a lot more than what he has been in this early season.
I agree. So I want to get to the good. There was a lot of good from this game. We've touched a lot on the defense already. So this is going to be the good part of the video. Chris Ash, and we said this going into this week. We said, Tran, hey, Tech, y'all were awful. We got better against TCU. Got better. Got better again. I felt like they played better defense in the OU game. They were very good today. Very, very good defensive effort. Very, 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 very good defensive effort today. And that speaks to coaching on the defensive side. Jay Valai, Chris Ash, Mark Hagan, Oscar Giles, Coleman Hutzler, like all those guys over there on the defensive side of the ball and the coaching staff. We've seen much better tackling. We've seen an improvement with containment. We've seen improvement with gap responsibility. Short yardage has gotten better. And, they're not – I don't see these massive miscommunications on big passing plays down the field like we've been accustomed to seeing for many, many years at Texas. So I understand. Here's comes the comment where it's like, guys, you were playing Baylor and their offense has been sputtering all year. Get it. It's probably one of the weaker offenses we've seen. We anticipated a lot of that with injuries, COVID, all that. But I see them operating with how they're playing and how they're talking, how they're communicating. I see them playing with more confidence. I see DeMarvion Overshown ramping into the linebacker position. I don't see a whole bunch of people taking steps backwards, is my point. I see people taking steps forward week to week. So why don't you get your thoughts there?
Yeah. It's no secret that I've been Chris probably his biggest critic. One of his biggest critics, because it didn't seem like they were getting better to me at first. Game to game, UTEP, it was basically a shutout, to tell you the truth, and it should have been. And then that debacle in Lubbock. Then we gave so many unnecessary yards to Max Duggan, who didn't play very well today
and the TCU
at all.
TCU loss is looking worse and worse.
Yes.
To be fair to your point.
But when we did play you and I were texting back and forth on the OU game. I was like, the defense actually hasn't been that bad, and you were agreeing with me today. I I of course drank the Kool-Aid that thinking that he was just gonna be a rock star right out the gate, but we forget that they didn't have a spring together, and I think it's a little bit of both. He's understanding the players that he has in his arsenal, and the players are starting to adjust to his coaching style.
Hmm.
That's something that we overlook as fans because we just expect them. Oh, they should just be good right away, just because they're aligned. But no, it takes coaching, and that's the good thing that I'm saying is that this team honestly only gave up one touchdown. I'm not going to count that second touchdown, the pick to the 20-yard line as a touchdown because that's just the offense putting the defense in a bad position. I mean, that's a win. That's a win especially even a broken down Big 12 offense, still a win. So
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think what's encouraging to see is how they're doing it because there's some things we're going to get to. They're not perfect on defense, and
yeah.
there's still some triggers for us as fans that are there. Um, but what I am seeing is I love the diversity on the defensive line, and they're starting to they're doing a better job with even the linebackers. So Joseph Osai gets injured today, which is something else we'll touch on. But Jeff Bush comes in there, and at least there's assignments for him to do where he's not going to get like completely exposed. Is Jet Bush in there making plays in the pass game? No, but he's serviceable, right? And we can live with that. We can have Juwan Mitchell play to his strengths. Early in the season, I felt like we were setting the brother up for failure. Now he's able to come forward. He led our team in tackles today. I think he had 12 tackles today, made some plays behind the line of scrimmage off of the defensive line's penetration. When Baylor ran for I think 64 yards total today as a team. That's a fantastic defensive effort up front and not allowing backups to beat you. That's been one of my frustrations is like when people are banged up and hurt, like they shouldn't play well against us. Period. They shouldn't play well against us. And so I will give them their credit. Like y'all exposed the freshman left tackle, whoever was in there, and like gave Charlie Brewer issues at times. And we didn't allow somebody with a weak arm. Charlie Brewer has a weak arm to start throwing the ball all over the place on us. Yeah, we gave up some stuff intermediate and there was some breakdowns here and there short, but it was nothing crazy that was going on. The only brother I really saw struggling like that with their technique was Jalen Green, in terms of who was getting picked on when he was matched up with Snead. That was the only person where I'm like, okay, he's not having a great day today. Some people gave him some plays, but I felt like they were at least playing with confidence. I saw Anthony Cook make a couple plays. Josh Thompson was getting in there, even though he got a couple penalties here and there. Like nothing crazy, nothing crazy. So great job with the defense. Going to the offense, there is some good. I know people are waiting and ready to hit the keyboard about the critique they want to give to the offense because there's a lot there to touch on. But Tran, this is something you hit me up on, and I added it to our list. 8 for 15 on third down. They were over 50% on third down conversion rate, and they did figure out how to keep the chains moving and keep the lead today.
And I think there's two possessions where we were just trying to control the clock as well. So so we just ran, punted type of thing. So it's probably a little bit better than that, but still, I'll take over 50% conversion rate on that.
Sure.
I mean, especially it's I think a 10 point increase over our season average, which that's a win in my book. We keep moving the sticks. That's all that matters.
I thought part of that too, and this is the last real big good I have, because we can add field goal in there too. Cameron Dicker was solid today, made his kicks. Field goal team didn't have any hiccups. Because Sam Ehlinger, it's another classic good, bad, ugly game for Sam, right? Like he goes as this team goes. And with Sam, the good is he's a freaking warrior.
Yeah.
And you can't not love him. You can't not love rooting for him, even as frustrating as much as you want to pull your hair out as a fan with all the bat. And we are going to touch on it because we were hard on him, and he's QB1, and we will hold people accountable on this channel. But starting off with the good, he took some shots today, bro, and he was running hard. And we had to go back to the Bam Bam Sam 2017, 2018 Tom Herman offense, which will lead us down another question later in this video. But he short yardage moments like, oh, we can't get the ball in the end zone randomly with Keontae Ingram. Okay, Sam, save us, right?
And he did.
certain situations, right, where we do the sprint rollout. Maybe he could have thrown it to Bijan on the pylon. Maybe he couldn't have. I thought the brother was open. He chose not to throw it. All right, Sam, get in the end zone. Save us. And there was a lot of times where he just kept the chains moving with his feet, with his creativity. And then he did make a few throws. He did make a few throws where it was okay. We got some big plays. We had actually 3 plays today over 40 yards. So we had some explosive plays today. He only completed 15 passes, but he completed 15 passes for 270 yards. So that's a positive. I also want to give a shout out to my friend Brandon Holland over at Along the Wire podcast. And contributed 24/7. His cousin was playing safety out there for Baylor today, and the brother did give up a couple big plays to Tariq Black and Wiley. And Brandon was texting
Bag is coming.
Brandon, and I feel Brandon is a diehard Texas fan, but obviously he has his heart and is with his blood on Baylor, and I couldn't imagine being in a tough spot like that. So. Brandon, your cousin, checks in the mail. Appreciate y'all services. But going back to Sam, that spirit, that will is a positive. That is a good I can take away from this. That is a good that I believe permeates through the team. And you can see with their body language on the sideline. There was a scene on the sideline. It was like him, Kelvonte Dixon, Jaquindon Jackson, and a few guys on defense. And they were just like broing it up over there after one of Sam's touchdowns. And it's just like that was the vibe, right? Like, hey, get us going, right? Like, do what you gotta do, man. Like that's how it's been, with this offense. And here we go, Bam Bam Sam yet again. But the competitiveness is a positive, and I love that about Sam. Anything else you want to add to the good of this game?
I mean,
other than us getting a dub.
I mean, we touched on Jared Wiley and the defensive line pretty high level in the game ball section. So I mean, I'm good with these. I'm good with these options.
Joseph Osai was great too when he was in there.
When is he not? Like,
yeah.
So
yeah. Alfred Collins, like we got some guys up front, man. I'm happy what I'm seeing. So bad. We'll stay with Sam as we move to bad because it's good, bad, ugly. And this isn't just a Sam thing. This is a Sam / Mike Yurcich / Tom Herman. I don't know, but the passing game. So we had -1 yards passing in the first quarter. There's several examples I can think of. There was going into halftime. I think it was like 40 seconds. We had 3 times. I think you texted me the scenario.
We had 3 timeouts.
3 timeouts, and we have Joshua Moore naked.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't pull the trigger. And I'm like, I'm struggling here because Joshua Moore today, I think, had 2 catches for 45 yards and a touchdown, and they were like back-to-back plays. He mossed somebody, and then they had the play, which was a couple plays later in the red zone, and goal to go, where they do actually from under center, they do like the bootleg thing, and he runs on the back of the end zone. It was a beautiful play design. It's actually one of the better plays we've seen designed by the staff this season. And that was the last we saw of Joshua Moore. Yep. So here's my question to you. We keep talking about the people we don't have and the struggles we have at wide receiver. Why aren't we featuring the people we do have? Like, why are we struggling to get the ball to somebody like Joshua Moore? Or like, why aren't we seeing even a little bit more of Brennan Eagles? Like, I'm confused because I understand what's going on with Jake Smith and Jordan Whittington and all these other people that are in and out, and Brendan Schooler that are just people are in and out. But like Joshua Moore, outside of the one injury, he's been here every week. I don't understand
Yep.
how he gets 2 catches. I don't get it, Trent.
I think he only got targeted 3 times too.
Yeah, I think he got one other deep ball, and
So
that was it.
6 targets between probably the 2 most dangerous people on the team, between Jared Wiley and Joshua Moore. It's unacceptable. And you're not going to beat a lot of teams without getting the ball in your playmakers' hands. You're not. I mean, I don't want to look ahead to it because I want to enjoy this game, but even Spencer Rattler, who's not I don't think as good of a passer as Sam is. He targets Tylan Wallace
I think.
6 or
Or
7
you mean
times.
Spencer Sanders?
Sanders. Sorry.
I was
sorry,
like,
sorry.
oh, Spencer Rattler is better than.
I'm sorry. Spencer Sanders. He targets Tylan Wallace 6 to 8 times a game at least.
Good point. Good point.
I mean,
Yeah.
he
will force feed his. He knows where his.
And I'm not saying that these guys are the talent of Tylan Wallace. Don't judge me for that or anything like that. But these are the best pass catchers that we have on our team who are game breakers, who could get big plays, big chunk plays for us, and we're not targeting them enough. And I don't know if it's the coaching staff that doesn't trust Sam's accuracy in the game, or ball security in the game. Maybe because of that one that was a bad interception to Jared Wiley. I mean, so I don't know if that's the reason they're seeing something in practice, but to your point, I don't know. I mean, I don't understand why we're not featuring our playmakers.
That's why I'm saying it's a combination, because where it's on Sam is the decision making. He's ultimately the one making the decisions back there and pulling the trigger, right? He misses Jarrett Wiley open late in the game because there's this like 2 factions here, right? It's like, well, we're over here turning the ball over, kind of getting Baylor back in the game, but there's the other side where it's like, why aren't we like extending our lead and putting this thing away instead of doing the run pass, right? Mm-hmm. Because we go run pass, we get super conservative, and all of a sudden now we're not running the clock we should be running. We're not, converting downs and drives, and now it's like the other team gets it, but then when we do try to get aggressive, the quarterback's throwing a pick, right? So it's like, so that's on Sam. As far as I'm concerned, like, he can't miss the first window, because when you're throwing through the seam like that, there's certain windows, right? And so he misses the first window. Now he's trying to fit it. It's double coverage at that point. And the second window to me would be is like, if you really hold it, now he's just outrun the safety. But that wasn't the case when he threw that particular ball that ended up being an interception. That's when Baylor got the second touchdown that they scored, like you said. And now they're back in the football game. Mm-hmm. With you're giving a bad team false hope. When you don't need, they shouldn't even be this. It shouldn't even be in this predicament. Yeah. The situation I brought up earlier before halftime, where he doesn't pull the trigger to Joshua Moore, and they show the replay, and Joshua Moore is not even covered. And we've seen that a few times this season, where just missing guys, and or ball placement issues. There was a ball that he missed on earlier in the game where I think we settled for 3 to Jake Smith when Jake Smith was still in the game.
I don't think that was his fault. That one. I rewatched I rewatched that play, and it looked like Jake Smith did kind of 2 juke moves, and it was more of a timing route, it looked like, and because he did that second juke move, I think that's why he missed so badly on that, because that was way in front of him. So I think it was more so on Jake Smith's part on that particular one. But yes, him missing wide open, and I don't know if it's Yursich's designs where his first reads are too long developing, and he's not even looking towards the second read before he looks to see if the first read is already there. I don't know if it's that, or if it's just Sam's keyed on one side of the field first before he can even look at all of his options that he has open. I don't know.
It's frustrating for me because I saw Sam improving on this last year in particular, where I'm like, I'm seeing real strides. I will stand by that. I know some people will disagree with me, but when you go back and look at the way he threw the football against the LSU Tigers last season, he made some remarkable reads, throws, decisions, all of that. He has some issues that he will always have competitively, where he'll just there's going to be times when he's just turning the ball over because there's just so much on his plate. They talked about during the game how much action has, whether he's running the football or throwing or getting hit in the pocket. It's just a lot on his plate. So that's why I also look at the coaching staff. What are we doing to help him out? What are we doing to make things a little bit more defined? Whether it's schemes, whether it's protections at times to help out Sam. But and who are we featuring? I'm still a little concerned with us. Like, Joshua Moore can't get a look in the slot because the slot receiver position, that's another bad, right? Like, Jake Smith is just, whether it's the injury, whether it's I think it's a combination of him battling the hamstring, because we've said this before with Colin Johnson and other players. Once you have the hamstring issue, it is a nuisance to deal with the whole season. Now your practice time is inconsistent. You're spending half the time rehabbing, or maybe you're light one day, or you can't run full speed. He missed the OU game during warmups where it blew, right? Like, he's ready to go, clear. Warmups happen. Shoot, I can't go today, right? Now, so we started Kelvontae Dixon in the slot today. Like that, this is where we're at, where we've seen Kai Money play slot. We've seen Brennan Schooler play slot. We've seen Jake Smith play slot. We now saw Kelvontae Dixon today in there. And so it's just a platoon of people coming in there at that position when we're coming off of having Devin Duvernay and little Jordan Humphrey that Sam has been so comfortable throwing to for his first 3 years.
Well, with that said, I think that's a quarterback problem then. I mean, there's going to be injuries throughout everything. You have the senior quarterback who's the Heisman hopeful coming into the season. You have to make those guys better. You have to throw them open. You have to give them only catchable balls for themselves. And I'm a huge Ellinger fan, and I will ride and die for him. But he's got to be better. He's got to put his receivers in position to win.
That's fair. I won't add anything to that. I think that's well said. So on the other offensive side of the tape, there's still some offensive line issues. I'm not going to beat them up today, but the run game stuff, I thought they were gritty. I thought Bijan Robinson had a good burst when he had some opportunities. I thought he ran with a little bit more strength today and power. Keontae did what he could, I felt like. And I think Keontae was probably a little bit more conservative, focused on his ball security. And sometimes when you're a little too focused on that, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to break tackles and be explosive like you normally are. But we're still not getting that production, that push. Like they averaged 3.4 yards a carry today between those two, because Roschon only had one carry, and I think he caught one pass where he broke a bunch of tackles and he looked like Roschon for a second. But Roschon is just giving the team what he can right now, being as limited as he is with his shoulder problem. So the workload really falls on two people, right? Bijan and Keontae, who are just flipping at this point. They're pretty much 50-50. And we're not 3.4 is just not good enough from our backs as good as they are.
It's not. No, it's not. I think if we had to rate them, I think Bijan was definitely the best back today. Yes. I do think that Keontae, which it's really rough to see him this way, because he is thinking too much when he's running, and he's so worried. He's so in his head about fumbling the ball. It's a good thing, I guess, that he's focused on ball security, but I want him just to react and be the natural athlete that we've seen him be in the
A little
past.
too cautious today.
Yes.
I also think he's running the plays, right? So he ran a lot of outside zone stretch type stuff. That's probably better suited for Bijan Robinson at this point. And Bijan's running a lot more inside zone, and duo stuff. And so it's just like, I don't have to go back and look at it. This is just off of first glance. But if we can get a little bit more diversity with our run game selection and maybe marry it a little bit better to their, like some of those runs that Keontae had, I'd like to see Bijan actually on those, because I think he could hit maybe a little bit. There was one particular play that Bijan did run on the outside to the left where he picked up like 10 or 12 yards. And I'm like, okay, like where Keontae is getting 8 or 9 on that particular stretch, I think Bijan could get 4 or 5 more on a play that just off of his speed. So I get it. I'd also like to see Bijan featured a little bit more in the pass game. What saves Keontae is his blocking, and he's still very, very effective in the throw game. So Keontae's good there. And we need, again, people are going to say, well, I want to load up one back with that. That's not how they're doing business. They are going to play if they could play 3, they would, excuse me. But right now they don't want to load up anybody too much. And then on top of that, the quarterback's taking away 15 carries. Just be real on there too. And if this is the offense that's just going to be at Texas as long as Tom Herman's here, for however long he's here, then doesn't that kind of favor Jaquindon Jackson at some point? Because if you're just going to go quarterback run heavy and always have this style of offense, then Jaquindon Jackson's probably going to be the next quarterback. I don't see how I don't see how you can pivot. Yeah, I mean, like if the quarterbacks, if this is always what we're going to be under this scheme, because I thought with the Mike Yurcich stuff, we were going to kind of dial that back and look a little bit more like the Oklahoma State thing.
Yeah, I was expecting an extremely balanced team, honestly. Not much QB power.
So that leads me to another bad, right? Like the start and the finish. So you have a 3-0 Baylor first quarter, and you have a 13-0 Baylor fourth quarter. Now, we dominated the middle of the game. That's where we won the game, right? And we made some plays in the first and fourth quarter to maintain our lead or compete. But opening script, we come out, go 3 and out. Now, end of the game, we talked about this earlier already, Tran, of we want to be aggressive to end the game, but then when we do get aggressive, the quarterback throws a pick. But then we get too conservative as a staff, and now we're giving somebody else opportunities. I think and I just list that as a bad, as something we have to work on. And I want to see whoever's calling the plays have a better script to start the game. Like the script we had in the third quarter, opening the third, was good. They came out and got points. But starting the football games, I mean, we're just still taking a little too long. Like, especially off a bye week, off a OU game where you went down 10-0 in that game. How we can't keep stringing together bad starts.
No, I agree.
I don't like seeing it.
The thing I didn't like was, good teams. Even good teams are the ones that, the last drive where it's 27-9, and we threw the pick. Even good teams go down and get 3 points out of that. We go down and get 3 points out of that, chip away the clock. Casey Thompson's in the game after that.
That's true. Especially with Sam limping around.
Sam doesn't need those extra hits. He was hurt, obviously. You could tell. He battled through it, of course. We talked about that earlier. But that's the point of it. Like, you don't play around with the teams that you should just dominate. Right. And we let them back in the game, essentially, with that, because it made it a 2-score game when we threw that pick.
Yeah, and it was 11-point game.
So, I mean, that's where I'm at with that.
The Osai injury is bad because there's going to be it's going to be a concern. So there's 2 things on defense that are bad, and then we'll go to the ugly.
Yeah.
and one kind of led to. So the drop picks. This is where I will get on the defense. Chris Brown, Deshaun Jameson, you guys are too
Make those
good.
plays.
You guys are too good as athletes not to make those plays. Those are easy interceptions for you guys. Those are easy interceptions. And again, plays into the scouting report. You're playing a weak arm quarterback. They're throwing to the boundary 90% of the time. You guys are playing the right coverages. We have everything dialed up to sit on routes and get some gifts. And then when the gift comes, we squander it. And to begin the game, this is where it's like, okay, we're seeing a lot of good. You guys are playing at a very good level. If you want to play at a great level, you got to make that play. You got to. Chris Brown has to pick that ball off to start the game, because you know what? If he picks that ball off to start the game, we now open with the ball in Baylor territory, getting ready to score.
Mm-hmm.
Versus allowing Baylor to punt, we go 3 and out, backed up. Then we get.
It plays the whole field position game.
The field position game, right? Because then we have a 15-yard punt, which we'll get to in a second. And
that was cute.
and now it's like, what are we doing, right? Like, as good as we're playing defensively, we can be so much better if we make those turnovers. And this is what I reached out to somebody on one of the tweets I had. And if you guys aren't following us on Twitter, you're not hitting that like button or whatever. We tweet throughout the game, so make sure you hit us up and follow. But links in the description. But I tweeted in the game, when you get a turnover that creates energy for your team, that permeates to your offense, special teams, everybody, that also demoralizes your opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Brewer didn't pay like he should have when he was giving us the football. Should have had 3 picks today. Now, I will cut BJ Foster some slack. I will cut him some slack. It's really hard to catch a football with a cast on your arm. And he was falling backwards. But
he almost still caught it, though.
And he almost caught it.
Yeah.
But there's no excuse for Chris Brown and Deshaun Jameson to be dropping balls.
I've seen Deshaun Jameson catch harder interceptions than that.
Oh, Sports in the top 10 against West Virginia, absolutely.
And he knew it too. You could tell, because if he catches that in space, I mean, he may not get the touchdown, but he's getting a really good return.
And that's why people put him first team all Big 12. So we got to make those plays. We have teams like Alabama, the elite teams aren't dropping picks like that. Not the bunnies.
Yeah.
I understand like a high ball that's like 50 miles an hour and it's like up here over your head. Okay, you may or may not catch that. But like some of these ones where these guys with the noodle arm are just throwing it right to you, make them pay.
Yeah.
And knock it off. Let's stop playing around with these dudes. So that's I mean, I know, guys, some of that is nitpicking, but here's where now you start to play snaps you shouldn't be playing, which led to the Joseph Osai injury. Am I saying that it's Deshaun Jameson's fault that Joseph Osai got injured? No, let's not be dense here, right? But that was second down, I believe. It's third down. We ended up getting the stop, but that's when he had I don't know if his shoulder came out, his elbow, whatever,
arm or something like that. I don't know what it was.
Something went dead. Now, God bless, he was able to come back in at the end when we needed him to help us finish. But that was an injury. That was a play that shouldn't have never happened, is my point. So we got to get better at taking the football away and maximizing those. I want to get to ugly because I know this is, we're covering a lot here.
Start with Bushevsky, since we already prefaced it with the 15-yard punt.
I want to say this as nicely. I'm gonna let you tackle funny.
I'll jump on it because I think those 2 blocks definitely are in his head. I think he's been punting deep. His long ball has been better this year. Not great, still not elite, but the first punt that he had was one of the worst I've seen in a long time. It's even his drop from his hands was just at an angle for him, and that's what made him punt. So, and he did it even on the second time because it went off the side of his foot. So it's just even the mechanics of it were bad. So I don't know. Like I don't know why we don't have competition in that position right there, because if anyone should now respect the kicking game, it should be Tom Herman after all that crap he was talking about with, oh, I don't even call Michael Dixon by name. I call him punter. And he saved it. He saved him in 3 games that year.
If
Punting
there's
is a
something,
very important portion, because that's when we go back to us playing the field position game. And if you could flip field position with a punter, that's amazing. And that's why Pete Carroll traded up for Michael Dixon. And he's doing magical things in Seattle, just like he was doing here.
we got to stop mentioning Michael Dixon, though.
I know this, but when we've seen what good looks like, and then
we've been spoiled.
We've been extremely spoiled. But I'm not even, because we will never see another Michael Dixon. Let's get that straight here in Texas. But we could have someone who could be manageable in the punting game.
We had a guy last year at the end of the season, and Chris,
and he's doing great over. Doing great over SMU. Yeah,
he was fine. So I don't understand. I'm not asking for the world when it comes to the punting. I'm just, don't kick the ball 15 yards.
Yes,
like
we need you to flip the field.
And I'm not. I know we're bashing the kid right now, and I hate kid bashing, but like, this is why I do put it on the coaches. Our special teams, because like you said, competition, right? Like, who's pushing him in practice? Who's working with him on the technique things? Who's like, we have all these people that at some point, I understand Jay Boulware technically is our special teams coordinator. However, Tom Herman has special teams background experience. Coleman Hutzler has special teams background experience. Andre Coleman has special teams background experience. There's a lot of people on this staff who have coached special teams before that should have some sort of input on certain aspects of our game, especially our punt game stuff that has been disastrous this season and really hurt us. It's really, really hurt us. And so I just don't understand where the competition, like, one of the biggest frauds we got sold with Tom Herman, and I haven't been the crush Tom Herman with the hammer like a lot of other people have. But where I will is like that whole special forces BS. Like, oh, this is how much we value our special teams, blah, blah, blah. Like, this has just been what we've been. Michael Dixon is like, outside of the great legs, right? Like Dicker when he's been on point, or Michael Dixon, but like, you guys special teams, like I don't see that special forces like laser focus ever by this staff.
Yeah,
when it comes to these things, I just don't.
No, and he comes from one of the best kicking schools in the world,
Australia.
Yeah, so it can't be. It has to be a mental issue right now, and what the coaching, that's on the coaching staff to get that out of him. Because obviously we're not going with a different. He doesn't have the competition to push him, so we just need him to be, especially with this upcoming schedule. We need him to be manageable during this time.
Yeah, there's going to be situations where we're going to have to play field position and be strategic there, and it's hard to do that when you don't know where the guy's going to kick the ball or if he's going to get the ball off. I think that's fair. Kerstetter is ugly. And it's not him as a player, but I don't know what this whole pushing people in the back after a play is over randomly.
Yeah.
Today, I mean, I thought somebody RKO'd the damn Baylor coach over on the sideline. Like, it was looking ugly over there. And it's like, you're a captain, and it's the fourth quarter, and like, we're trying to get out of this game, and that happens. And luckily, it wasn't as costly as it was in the OU game, but to see somebody make the same mistake like that
in back-to-back games
in a row, back-to-back games, that's a concern. That's like, to me, like, I wouldn't say it's on the same level as Keontae Ingram fumbling the ball 2 straight games, which really, really hurt us. But like, to see your older guys make the same mistake back-to-back games, what will be done to correct that? And they talked about disciplinary things on the broadcast of, maybe the whole unit runs and he doesn't run, or, whatever whatever Junction Boys or Remember the Titans nonsense you want to throw out there. That can't happen with Derek Kerstetter is my point.
No,
can't happen anymore.
he's a leader, and he's one of our best offensive linemen.
Yeah, it's not even an issue of play.
yeah.
I'm not talking about him as a player right now.
And
I'm talking about you being a knucklehead.
I know it, but you can't tell me that scouts aren't looking at that and be like, why does he have two unsportsmanlike conduct in back-to-back games? And then that's going to because they go into every little detail when they're doing talent evaluation. Yes. So then they'll go to those videos because everything is time-stamped on all those stats sheets that they're looking at. They'll go to those videos like, whoa, that one was bad. That's the OU game. That was 3 seconds after Sam was tackled. Oh, this Joshua Moore was tackled
on the reverse.
Yeah, on the reverse. 3 seconds later, he's shoving the player into the coach.
I'm surprised there wasn't like a scrum over there. Like
it wasn't like his back was to the play and he was just playing through the whistle. He was looking.
The guy's on the sideline.
Yes. Yeah, he's on the sideline, but not only that, he's facing Joshua Moore while he's down on the ground. So I mean, it's rough because Kerstetter's so good. He's so good, and
and he's a captain for a reason. He's been starting since his freshman year.
Yeah,
this is the
only knock on him.
Yeah,
this is the only knock on him. So I mean, he's got to clean that up. He's got to have some discipline.
So there's two more things I want to comment on, then we'll wrap the video. I don't know who's calling plays. I think that's ugly.
We're going to be talking about that all week, I think.
This is going to be the talking point now. And maybe as we're recording this, hopefully our media brethren, the people that do this for a living, somebody's asked or insinuated something in the post game, or maybe they'll ask on Monday. But I would just like to know, because I was under the impression that this was supposed to be a Mike Yurcich offense, but this looks so much like the normal, typical Tom Herman offense now. Not to say that they both aren't bred under power spread conceptually, but now the play calling, like some of the RPO slant stuff and some of the stuff we were doing earlier in the season, I don't even see it anymore. Yeah. And I'm just curious, because now he's got the play sheet over there on the sideline. What is his involvement with the play calling? I would like to know. Does that have to do with the personnel issues we've had? Is he frustrated? Is this what he does when he feels like he's under pressure? Is going to an area of comfort? An area of comfort is me calling the plays. We've seen that from other coaches. I don't know. So I just think it's ugly because we're not maximizing what I think we can get out of Mike Yurcich. And I think there's something there where I didn't think that before today. And now I'm really, really seeing it, and I'm confused. And maybe somebody else can help me out with that, but I'm confused about that.
I'm really confused on it. The only thing I can see is that the offensive line has been pretty bad to the point where they're just trying to either run the ball real quick, or, hey, Sam, you look at your read, your first read, your read's not there, run. And that's what they're going to, which I hope that's not the case, but I'm with you. I mean, it's confusing to me, and if it's confusing to us, it's probably confusing to the kids, because they have been learning one playbook, and now everything gets switched up in the middle of the season during a quick bye week. So we'll see.
Different, yeah.
We may kill Sam Ellinger, but
I don't know. I mean, and maybe after OU, they're like, our best offense is
this.
Bam, bam, Sam.
Yeah, go.
All right, the last ugly I have, and this is we're hear me out. Everybody watching this, I know you. I know not you.
I'm with you on this. Like,
the last ugly is what we saw from the Ohio State game earlier today. And what do I mean by that? Ohio State handled their business against Nebraska. They'll have a showdown, State College, where
wounded, a team licking their wounds right now.
Yeah, against a Penn State team that we just saw go down to Indiana. But this is where the ugly comes in for Texas. When you see a freshman, Jackson Smith Njiba from Rockwall, and you see a Garrett Wilson from Lake Travis, and you see what we're struggling with, and that doesn't include like Julian Fleming and Olave and the other weapons that Ohio State has out from all over the country. But I'm talking about Texas boys right now. And you see the struggles we're having at wide receiver. I understand. I like Joshua Moore. We got to feature him more. But we are struggling with separation. Brennan Eagles right now doesn't look super explosive. He looks like a possession wide receiver. Our other threats, we're talking about a tight end being our other explosive player. Like, that's what we're talking about right now. I see Marcus Washington here and there. I see Alvonte Woodard here and there. And when I say I see them like getting snaps. I don't see them having like, this
targets
grand,
or touches or
right, impact, right? Like Tariq Black, I didn't say this, but somebody else was like, yo, the brother looked like he had ankle weights on when he caught the ball. Like,
we just laughed at it.
It's just like, how does Jalen Waddle look when he would catch that same ball? Where's it? God bless Jalen Waddle, by the way. I hope he can make a speedy recovery, right? And prayers up to him. And after what happened in the Alabama,
he's not getting caught. He's
but
he's
you
not
put
getting
a healthy Jalen Waddle in that situation.
Yeah. He's not getting caught.
But all of these dudes, you see Marvin Mims, and I understand OU is going to get theirs out of DFW area. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying Texas is going to load up and get everybody. I'm not saying Texas is going to go in and get all the brothers from Rockwall. But where, like, these are NFL wide receivers, like, killing it right now. And we don't have any of them. Now, I would like to hear your side to this, because you did make an interesting point when we were talking on the phone before this about if those guys were here, what would they look like? And maybe that speaks to a bigger issue in Texas of why people are like, oh yeah, we knew that. That's why we didn't go there. Like, what is it? Like, where are our studs? Where are our game breakers?
The reason why I said that is it might have been a previous video that you and I did, or it might have been prep for a previous video, but we were talking about how I think I don't remember which receiver it was, but it was in the end zone that he ran his route and his route wasn't open and he stood there. He didn't work to get open, so he was just done. Like, I don't know if our wide receiver coaches aren't saying, hey, if your spot's not open off your first route, work to get open. Do a little school ball. You know where all the other receivers are going. Get open. And I mean that honestly has a lot to do with a lot of these guys breaking big plays other places. I mean, not every single one of them is just like, all right,
schemed open.
Nine route, just go. I mean, yeah, they do make those plays, but I don't know if they're being coached up for that, or if we're not able to give Sam the time for those plays to develop where we can get those, or if it's an accuracy. It's probably a combination of all of it.
That's a combination of it too. That's fair, because Justin Fields was phenomenal today.
Yes, he was. He looked like the
he looked like
trophy winner.
He looked like a guy who's going to compete for a Heisman.
Yes.
He looked like a guy who's going to go top 3 in the draft as a quarterback. He was very accurate. He was poised. He looked better. Like, I text you first quarter, I'm like, Justin Fields looks like he got better.
Right. Yep.
And he was already really, really good last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, so yeah, that has something to do with it. Kevin Wilson, Ryan Day, that has something to do with it too. Those guys can coach. But even with the great quarterback play, great offensive line, all of that, I'm just like, geez, like Garrett Wilson, and I understand the Columbus ties already, but like, he has to go all the way to Ohio State to go to the league to eat like that. But like, it's justified. They get there. Jackson Smith and Jiba, first college game, justified. He's going to make SportsCenter top 10 with what he did today.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw this at Rockwall when he was in high school. And we were like, why aren't we in the mix for these people? Like, if we could just get, like, right now, he'd be our best receiver. No disrespect to anybody else on our team. No disrespect. He'd be our best player on offense. And it's like, we don't have, like, these are the people that like change up how people defend you too.
Yeah. I think that's why it was a big loss that we lost on Quentin Johnston, too.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
that was a
And
huge
he
loss.
was
That
making some plays
yeah,
today in the OU
I,
game.
I mean he is still in Texas. I get that, but I think he'd be starting day one as our outside. So I mean I don't know. I mean I don't know what to tell you.
That's that wide receiver, and we are already there with the offensive line stuff. Because right now, from everything I've heard, James Brockemeyer, not Tommy, but James, the one that's the center, is playing some of the best football as a senior in the state right now. They're saying he elevated and got way better. And so now we're really missing on elite guys on the offensive line and guys that are again looking elsewhere for pro prospects and dreams and things of that sort. But like we're talking about winning on this channel, right? And getting back to having a winning culture and a winning society. Like those are the type of players that assure the wins. When you have people that good on your team, like you can get by on a blown coverage or whatever. Like right now, like we like as good as we are, and I saw Ian Boyd talking about this on Twitter, like Texas fans got to understand, like when we go and play like Oklahoma State and Kansas State later in the year and some of these other teams, like we're not just going to be able to beat people on talent. Like
Yeah.
even if we are locked in, like we're not as talented, even with, yeah, we have this class up here and they have these classes here. Like the way these guys are looking and the people we've missed on at certain positions are factoring into this. So that's an ugly for me. But I just wanted to make note of that. And some of you who watched football earlier today before this Texas game know exactly what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the Big Ten being back in play now. You know exactly what I'm talking about. If you saw the way Ohio State was throwing the football today, it does not look the same with what we do. Doesn't look the same. So overall, though, celebrate the dub. Tran, 1-0 this week, right? And
enjoy this for 12 hours and then prep for Oklahoma State.
Yep. Oklahoma State. And we'll do our prep this week. We'll go back and watch their game against Iowa State. Spencer Sanders, like Tran said earlier in the video, is back. So we'll get to get our second look at him. We were one of the first teams that got to see him last season, and a lot in play for us, and Tom Herman and this team. But much needed. This team is together. We saw that.
We know what type of offense a Mike Gundy team always brings.
Yes,
it's their defense that scares me, and we'll jump into that.
I
agree.
The video,
definitely.
A lot of good players on the Oklahoma State defense. So I do want to give a quick shout out. I know we didn't talk too much Baylor today. Terrell Bernard is a real one.
Oh my gosh, he's
Terrell
fantastic.
Bernard is a real one.
He is as good as you and I were texting back and forth like he's as good as advertised. He was all over the place for them.
Phenomenal football player.
Yep.
As a football fan, I enjoyed watching the cerebral aspect of it. He's such a heady player. He's going to find a way to play on Sundays. I don't know what his pro prospects are like or how they feel about him. I don't think he's like tiny. I know he's not huge, but he's not tiny.
Yeah.
And he's so cerebral. He's so sudden. I love him as a football player, and I thought he was marvelous today for Baylor. So they have some good football players. They do, because for this to be a 27-16 game, all things considered, Dave Aranda and what they're going through, I actually think they should probably start to work to take a look at some of the other quarterbacks, whether it's Bohannon or Jacob Zeno, and see if they can really, really get somebody in there to stretch some things, especially as the line gets healthier. But Baylor's not terrible. They're not they're not a terrible team at all. I think we had a lot of respect for them coming in, but Terrell Bernard's one of the best players in the conference, and I thought he was, for the most part, the best player on the football field today that I saw.
Yes, he was. I agree. He was everywhere.
So You know, always want to pay respect to the opponent and make sure we show them some love too, because when it's deserved. Glad we got the dub. Guys, we appreciate y'all. Make sure you hit that like button, chime in with your thoughts. I know it was a longer video, but it was fun.
Yep.
It's therapeutic for us, and I've
Yep.
been locked in the house with COVID, so
Yep.
just being able to
I'm glad you're
talk
feeling
ball.
better, man. That's
hopefully
huge.
I sound better too. So
Yeah,
guys, we appreciate y'all.
Mhm.
Horns always up. Hook 'em.